Welcome to episode 8 of Bandwagon. I'm your host, Eric Nelson. I want to thank Dan Olson for making our last episode possible. If you haven't went on and checked that out yet, you really need to. It was a lot of fun, great interview, and you got to hear that new song of his. It sounds great. And just a reminder, if you want to see Dan Olson with Sack of Lions and Pony Creek, you need to come to Maloney's on December 23rd. That's definitely going to be a good time. You don't want to miss that. It'll be two great bands, one great venue. Wendy's got some really good things going on there at Maloney's. And in fact, Bandwagon's very own Owen Justice, he just played there last weekend, and I felt fortunate enough for him to invite me to sit in and play some guitar with him. And I thought the show went really, really good and sounded really good. And so I'm looking forward to playing there again here soon. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our new guest now. His name is Mark Patrick Weber.
That's him.
And I just want to say welcome to the show first and foremost.
It's a pleasure to be here, man, for sure.
And yeah, what is so cool is Mark wrote a song, and it's called Burdens of the AM. And it pretty much embodies the whole reason that I started Bandwagon. And that idea being that a lot of musicians are connected in some way, whether they know it or not, and they share a common thread. And we've never been in the same room together before today.
Yep.
But again, he wrote the song Burdens of the AM, and the common threads in that are Joe Lidgett and Ryan Osbar, who I play with in Pony Creek. And so going back to the beginning, I was recording at Joe Lidgett's studio in Council Bluffs in the late 90s. And he played pedal steel on some of my stuff and some guitar as well. And we were taking a break from the recording session, and he was like, hey, check this out. And he played, because he played pedal steel on Burdens of the AM as well.
Okay.
And I think he's played Arizona too, if I remember right.
Yep.
But I specifically remember for sure Burdens of the AM, and I immediately loved the song. And it hadn't been released yet. It wasn't released yet. It was released in '98.
Yep.
But it wasn't at the time. So fast forwarding to the present time, I was over at Ryan Osbar's house, and he was telling me about this song he loved and that he was going to start covering. Well, he started playing it for me, and I was like, holy shit, I know this song. And it had been 25 years since I'd heard that song, but I immediately remembered it. And one, that's a testimony to your songwriting.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because I've heard a lot of original music over the years, and I heard that once 25 years ago, and I remembered it.
Wow.
And what was also so powerful about it, and like I said, what embodies why I do it, is, that made me think back and relive a memory that I had with Joe Lidgett, who I thought was a music god. He was a great musician. I took guitar lessons from him at Lidgett Music.
Wow.
And he really influenced the way I played then and still today. So yeah, that's pretty powerful stuff as far as I'm concerned.
That's crazy. I did not know. I did not know your connection there to Joe. Here's what I do want to tell you about Joe, and so when we were rehearsing songs for the record, and John Stevens, the other guitar player, was a Lidgett dude and knew Joe and Sean and all those guys and was there all the time, but he turned him onto our stuff, Joe onto it, and so Joe was coming in to maybe throw some pedal steel on it or whatever and give his 2 cents on things. And when we were getting ready to record, Joe, all he said to me, he goes, I'll play on anything, but I want that song. And he was talking about the Burden song. He was like, I want to be on that song. So we actually recorded that song totally live. My vocal and guitar are the same microphone at the now warehouse studio, which is no longer there anymore. And so Joe threw his, later, the next day or whatever, threw his steel part on. And so Joe's on his steel. We're all in the mixing room in the booth, and they play the track, and Joe he runs through it one time, finishes it, and I say to him through the microphone, I'm like, less country, more sad. And the second cut is what's on the record. Oh. So that literally was, he had his take, and then I told him, you know what, less country, more sad, and what's on the thing is, that was live, you know.
Very cool.
Like, the dude could play.
Oh, yeah.
And he understood. He understood what you were trying to accomplish and, you know, portray, and he was amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know, he'd lived in Nashville, I think, for 5-6 years or something like that.
He's a songwriter down there.
Yep. And he told me, as far as pedal steel, I remember asking, I was like, hey, you think you could maybe teach me a little on pedal steel? And he's like, only if you're super serious. He goes, but I'm just telling you this. I spent 5 years doing it many hours a day just to be bad at it. So I was kind of like, well, maybe I don't want to try.
You know, here's a great thing to throw at you. The same thing. So Box's bass player Dave Brocker also, and they were chums. They hit it off right away, and they loved each other. And but Dave was younger than all of us. But he kind of mentioned about wanted to learn how to play it. Mm-hmm. And Joe's response was, well, do you have a lifetime?
Yeah.
You know, to learn it. Like you know what, and I'll never forget that. Yeah.
Well, very cool. And I've got to ask you, and this might be really personal, as far as the meaning behind Burns of the AM. Now, obviously, I have an idea what I think it is, but it sounds like it obviously is a personal experience. And I didn't know if that's something you want to talk about, if that is the case, or if we don't have to. Or.
No, sure. You know what? It's been a long time, but because I was thinking about this before I was coming in to do this, and there's just a few things I do remember distinctly, and it's kind of how I write songs. It's a line or it's two lines. It's that just, you know, I'm not thinking about something and a line comes to me, and I was at work and the band that fits so tight is worn thin and loose, and the string that uses to tie the knot is feel like a noose. That came to me at work, so I wrote it down. And it was just written down, and I don't remember exactly when I turned that. It was the fastest song. That's the fastest song I've ever written. I remember that.
Those are the best ones.
The fastest song I would write during my lunch hour in my Escort, smoking cigarettes and writing lyrics. You know.
Yeah.
And but it was what I do remember. There was just a ton of things going on in my life, but just not personally, like close people to me that were going through just life, you know, just the tough stuff that's out there, and it was very much it's a collage of a bunch of people.
Okay.
There's not one story, there's not one thing, but it was all this stuff that was happening that was sad. It was sad, you know, and it is what it is.
Was it struggling with addiction and stuff?
No,
see, to me, that's the message I got.
That's the thing. It actually has nothing to do.
Really? Oh, wow.
It's 100% about relationships.
Oh, wow. I took it as a relationship that was falling apart and collapsing because of addiction.
Oh, sure. No, and I actually don't want to really talk about it more because I love how, you know, but
isn't that amazing though? I mean, everybody's interpretations and stuff.
And I remember telling our bass player when I first played it for him, and I'm like, you know, this is nothing about drinking. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I know. But he knew me really well. But yeah, that's wild. But no, it was just really a combination of a lot of things going on around in my world at that time.
And I don't just want to talk about that song. I mean, there's a lot of great songs on that album.
Well, thank you.
A lot of really good songs in there. And one, because I had to revisit the album, the one that I'd forgotten about was the Pumpin' Munch.
Yes.
Man, how many smiles has that sign generated over the years? On I-29.
No, that was my route to practice. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I lived in Omaha, but John, the guitar player, our rehearsal was in Council Bluffs. So that's the exit I took, and it just seemed to fit the words to that sonic, because that was John's that little riff, pump
Yeah.
lunch, that was John's.
Yeah, okay,
I
cool.
got to give credit to John Stevens for that.
Cool. That's a great little jam.
It was so fun.
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
was actually a super uninteresting story, but when we recorded that. That was so Jim Homan recorded the record at Warehouse Studio,
Yeah, yeah.
And Jim Homan kicks ass. He's this
for
amazing talent,
For sure.
and had a lot of input on the entire thing. But we did a track that we thought smoked, but it ended up getting lost. He lost it, so we had that.
Oh, no.
So the one that's on the record was a which whatever. It's all, but
It sounds amazing.
but
So
the things you don't.
there's a happy accident.
Absolutely. And I think I don't think we ever played the song, so it's kind of just an introduction to the next song called Quit Getting Lost.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever played it live without doing it like that.
Gotcha. Cool. Very cool. So you guys still get together at all and play, or do you guys
No.
do anything like that, or write, or do you still write?
I do. I don't, not with those guys anymore. Like Dave, our bass player, is just a killer. He's one of the most beautiful human beings I know. One of the maybe the funniest one I know. Just a beautiful guy, Dave Brocker. He lives in the Seattle area.
Okay.
He does some music, I believe. John Stevens, the guitar player for Vox. I'm not, I haven't talked to him probably. I saw him at a Sunvolt show many years, quite a few years ago, maybe 8 years ago or something. But and the drummer Mike Markoff, who is a beast of rhythm. I do see him, like he's a friend. I do see him from time to time. Cool. We don't play. I do play with there's several groups of folks that I semi-regular jam with here in town, and play a little, but not a ton.
Okay, cool. Well, you're spending a lot of your creative juices with Tea Gravy.
This is true.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
That's because it's really cool.
Okay. It was Tea Gravy it was a website that I started 8 years ago. In August, it was my 8th year where I designed one T-shirt a week, and it runs for the week, Sunday night at 10 to the next Sunday night at 10, and it's just, and it's morphed into now. A few years in, I started doing a few shows, and then I got into the local farmers markets, and it's grown a lot because of that. The Omaha Farmers Market is like a completely kick-ass organization that I can't thank enough, and I can't speak highly enough.
Awesome.
They made it Tea Gravy happen, or get to keep going, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's just been getting better, and it's a joy for me, and I love it. I love meeting the people.
You got some really funny stuff and really clever stuff, and
I try, man.
I'm sporting one now. This was a gift from Ryan.
Oh my God, that's the best. I remember.
Oh God, I love this. And what's so funny is I'll have some people come up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, that shirt, that's hilarious. Oh, that's so funny." And I'll have some people I'll see looking at it, and I'm like, they don't get it, and I'm like,
Yes.
no, they didn't move Fargo to the coast. It's still there.
No.
There's no ocean around
Yes.
it. It's a joke. Like, you can see the wheel spinning, but
Yes.
the ones who get it, man, I think it's just the greatest.
It is. I got a great, not a great story, but it's so funny. So we do the shows, and we had a really big one this past weekend at the Exarban Village here in Omaha, and it was fantastic, and it's such a fun event. But there's people in my booth looking at the shirts because they're just, and I have a lot at this point. There's 70 some designs probably just in the booth, and these people are checking them out, and one guy's like, "Yeah, I don't understand that one." I said, "Well, which one?" And he's like, "Well, that one." And it's like a Swiss Army pig.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, that's all it is. It's a Swiss Army pig." He said, and he said to me, he goes, "Oh, I was expecting something deeper." And then I literally looked at him and said, "Well, if you're wanting something deeper, you really need to keep walking, man, because it is not in here, you know." It's just fun. I just have so much. I just get to let whatever comes in here out.
Oh,
and,
I could see how you just love it.
Yeah,
It's got to
it is.
make you just bring you a lot of joy.
It does. It absolutely brings me joy.
Yeah.
And I feel lucky, totally lucky I get to do it, you know.
And one thing's cool, maybe you can show that logo real quick.
Yes.
That's the logo, and Ryan pointed out to me. He said, if you look in every shirt, you'll find that.
He is. His name is Shady.
Shady.
He's
yes.
my mascot.
Yep.
Yes, he's in every one.
Yes, and I was looking at mine and I found it. It's right there.
There he is.
It's very small. You're not going to see it, but there it is. So, well, cool. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No. This was cool. I didn't know what to expect. I don't do things like this, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's just been a few months now, and it's slowly growing, and we'll keep improving on it. And like I said, I love it, and I truly mean that when I said your song was what embodied why I wanted to ultimately do this. And I didn't even, one day I was thinking about it, and I got a hold of Ryan, and I was like, hey, do you think maybe you want to do this? And he said, well, I'll reach out to him and kind of connect the dots for you. But yeah, I just think that's the coolest thing, man, that
it's so,
the connections between everybody.
It's
like
wild.
the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
It really is.
You know? Everybody's got a connection somehow.
It's so wild. And when Ryan reached out, it wasn't an arm twisting. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm in. This sounds cool.
Cool. Well, maybe we can have you on again sometime.
I sure hope so.
And we'll do another song.
I would love to.
All right.
Love to.
Cool. Well, we're going to probably play Burdens of the AM, I'm guessing then.
All right. Yes, we are.
Since we've talked about it so much. So
we have.
So, and please, check out the album Burdens of the AM, because it's got tons of great songs on it. They're all very well written songs. And
it is on Spotify.
Yep.
But I think all the streaming things.
And go to T-Grave. I'm serious. You get on there, there's tons of clever, witty stuff on there. Tons of great selections on T-shirts. And I actually am buying a few from you tonight.
Yes, he is indeed.
So, all right. Thank you very much.
The band that fits so tight is worn thin and loose, and the string you used to tie the knot is feeling like a noose. When the past time was the last time, and you swore you'd never bend, but you fell hard off the wagon again. It helped to ease the pain, you placed the blame in youth, but the years have shown few mercies or a better excuse. And the weakness in the darkness, and a poor choice of friends, and you fell hard off the wagon again. And it stares you down, but you can't face it. You give good advice, but you don't take it. And it smells so sweet, oh, but you can't taste it again. I think you can. Kick it loose, but you can't shake it. You never feel that good, but you fake it. You promise to keep, you cannot break it again. Oh, I bet you can. Pledge allegiance and say a prayer. You've memorized the verse, but the ghost in the bones that haunt your sleep awake just might be worse. But you'll argue till you turn blue on points you can't defend, and you fell hard off the wagon again. And the band that fits so tight is worn thin and loose, string you used to tie the knot. It's feeling like a noose. When the rapture of the evenings turns to burdens in the AM. You fell hard off the wagon. You fell hard off the wagon again.